What's his name?
Now, why would
Humming.
Pete.
Pete.
Pete Shanahan. He's a cop.
Speeding again, are we?
From Denver. He's a friend of my brother's.
Setup.
Pathetic, I know.
No, it's great.
Really?
Isn't it?
Wait, it's not serious or anything.
And yet, it is hum-worthy.
Sir.
Look, Carter, it's none of my business. I'm just happy you're happy about something other than quarks. Not bad with the quarks, huh?
Excellent.
A bit uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, I bet.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at Shirley 35, and we're talking with the lovely and the wonderful Miss Amanda Tapping. Probably best known for her role playing Colonel Samantha Carter in the long-range series and beloved Stargate SG-1, as well as Stargate spin-offs SGA and guest starring in SGU, and fairly recently in the Sanctuary show, a show I love and miss. We can't forget the long-running successful series Supernatural that Ms. Tapping is in also. Welcome, Ms. Tapping, welcome, and thank you for taking time to talk with us on the Sci-Fi Diner podcast.
Thank you.
Can we go back to the beginning? Can you please tell us how you got the role of Samantha Carter in the first place?
Well, I auditioned in Toronto initially with thousands of others. I think they were auditioning in Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, LA, Chicago, New York. I mean, they just, yeah. So, and I honestly walked away from that audition going, well, I'm not going to get it, you know. It was one of the few auditions I actually walked away from going, this is an amazing part, but I'm not going to invest anything in my heart in it because I'm not going to get it. Mm-hmm. And then about a week later, I got a call saying, you're shortlisted, they want to see your demo reel, which is a reel of scenes of shows that I had been previously on. And I sent that, and then I got a call saying, you're one of 3 going down to LA for the screen test. And I went, what? Oh, suddenly it seemed real. They flew us down to LA. I auditioned, all the Sam Carters, all the Daniel Jacksons, all the Teal'cs, all the General Hammonds were all in the same waiting room, which was awkward. But we went on stage one by one in a very darkened theater with all the MGM executives in the dark and Richard Dean Anderson on stage, and did our first scenes, and then they sent us out, and everyone went in through rotation, and then they asked certain people to leave, and you're just like, please don't say my name, please don't say my name. And then we went in a second time. Now, the interesting thing is during that initial audition, Michael Shanks and Christopher Judge and I, who never met, kind of hung out together and just started talking, and it was very comfortable. And so the irony being, of course, that we all ended up getting the parts. But I went in the second time for second pass with Rick, and I was kind of joking around, and the producers, Brad Wright and Jonathan Glasner, came out to me after the first audition and said, you know that stuff you're doing between the scenes where you're joking around with Rick? And I said, yeah. And they said, we love it. Do it in the scenes. I was like, oh, okay. So they want to find chemistry. And we just, I mean, it was a great audition. It was really fun. At the very end of it, they asked that Rick and I stand side by side. And he put his arm around me. And I was like, whoa. So I put my arm around his waist. And I looked out into this darkened theater and went, so is this the swimsuit part of the competition? Like, it just felt like they were just looking us up and down and seeing how we looked together. Ha, ha, ha. I walked out and went, well, that either blew it or got me the part. I'm not sure. Right. And then I waited for a long time, and then I got the call. You got it. You got 2 weeks to be in Vancouver. What?
That's a great story. There's a lot of physicality playing Carter. You got to shoot guns, you got to fight, blow stuff up. Did you do your own stunts? Did you have a stunt double? What did you have to do there?
I had a stunt double for some things. I did a lot of my own stunts, and many concussions later. But we did a lot of our own stuff, especially the fight sequences. I really wanted to learn them. I had a great stunt double for the first part of Stargate, Kim Shepard, and she did a lot of the falling and rolling, and because I'm not the most coordinated person and I'm accident prone, so. But a lot of it I did myself, and I was really proud of that. We did a lot of work with guns and learning how to fire our weapons, reload our weapons on the fly. So we had a lot of training, but I would say probably about, in the first few seasons, 60 to 70% of the stunts I did myself.
That's fantastic. I'm sure you get this question a lot, and so I apologize ahead of time, but even with all the time that's gone by, if the powers that be come to their senses and decide to make another Stargate movie, would you be for it?
Yeah,
good.
I think so. It's such a big part of our lives. It's such a big part of our careers. And it's always been a very good home for me. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, here's hoping we get another Stargate movie. Now, not only are you an actor, but you're a director, writer, producer. As an actor, did you also want to work behind the camera as well?
Yes, always.
All right.
Always. Before I got Stargate, I was working with a comedy troupe that I helped co-found, and I directed a lot of our stuff. And yeah, I directed theater. It was something I always wanted.
Mm-hmm. I love Sanctuary. I was upset it didn't get renewed. However, I got to see the last show was a good ending, and we could have possibly seen continue. I love that it took our myths and legends and giving them plausibility and seeing how that works in modern day. And you also had a fantastic crew and cast and crew to work with.
Yeah.
How did Sanctuary come about?
Sanctuary was Damien Kindler's brainchild. It was a spec script he wrote in the year 2000. And he had shelved it. I think he'd shopped it around and nobody was interested, so he shelved it, and then he pulled it out of the shelf and handed it to Martin Wood and said, "Do you think we could do something with this?" And Martin said, "Yeah, I think you should give it to Amanda." And Damien said, "Oh no, she wouldn't, nah." And so I got the script, and I swear I read it in like 40 minutes, and I phoned Damien right away, and I was like, "We have to do this. This is awesome. I love this character, let's go." And then became the slow process of trying to figure out how to get it on the air.
That's awesome. We met Jonathan Williams here last year, and I just knew that whenever Tesla was on, not that all the shows were great, but whenever Tesla was on, it was going to be something even more special.
He's a phenomenal actor. Jonathan Young.
Jonathan Young, I'm sorry.
Is doing Hamlet right now in Vancouver at the Bard on the Beach. And he's phenomenal. He's such an astounding actor. I think he's a real gift. So when we were thinking about the part of Tesla, Christopher Heyerdahl came to us and said, "I know who should play Tesla."
Okay.
My friend Jonathan Young. And we went, "Oh, okay." And he's more known for theater, especially in Vancouver and in Canada. But he came in, and we read opposite each other, and he's so charismatic, and he's so quirky, and so fantastic, and I just went, "Oh, yeah." And then he, we cast him, I think, or originally decided a couple of episodes with Tesla. He became so loved by the cast and crew that every year we were like, what's your theater schedule like? How many episodes can you do for us? Yeah, I would have had him on every day if we could.
Yeah, he was great. Sanctuary was also one of the shows that made really good use of green screen. What was the challenge as an actor and a director to work on in most of the green screen set? As
an actor, you have to sort of suspend belief and go, okay, this is a wall, this is a window, this is a creature. You have to really imagine the environment that you're in. And I think the hardest part for all of us was figuring out the scope of the Sanctuary, because it's so huge. And we would play these very intimate scenes, and Martin Wood, for example, would say, "Well, you're in this massive, massive cathedral-like hallway. You can't, oh, right." And running, we'd run down hallways, and he'd go, "Oh, you just went through a window. Ah, damn." So it was little things like that, just getting used to the physicality of it. But otherwise, the beauty as an actor of working on a green screen is there's nothing to distract you. It's just about you and the fellow actor and the words. So it becomes very intimate. It's like doing theater. And so I actually loved the green screen scenes, even though, and Lee Wilson, our vis effects supervisor, would show us the things that we were looking at, and if we were battling a creature, how it moved, and but it was actually really kind of pure as an actor. As a director, I learned, because we have to put marks on the green screen, tracking marks on the green screen, so that the camera knows, or the vis effects guys know what we're looking at. You can't whip pan on a green screen, because suddenly it's like and the guys can't render something going by so fast. So you learn how to set up your shots in such a way. I had a shot in one of the episodes I directed where a train comes through a tunnel, and I go up on the crane, the train goes underneath of us, and then I push the crane through the tracks of this overhead tunnel, or overhead train tracks, and then I tilt up to the actors. And it was sort of working with Lee and going, okay, where's the track? This is this, and figuring out the speed in which we could do it. But we could change a lot of things in post as well. But it was a great education for me.
Awesome. You founded an organization to give back and pay it forward. And want our listeners to be able to hear your story of this wonderful organization you created.
Sanctuary for Kids was a brainchild of Damien Kindler, Jill Bodie, and myself. And we wanted to create a charity or a non-for-profit organization where we could give to smaller charities throughout the world. Charities with very little overhead, charities where $10,000 would make a huge difference. And we wanted to absorb the costs, and so if a fan gave $1, $1 went to the charity, and the charities were such that the dollar actually meant $1 and not 70% administration costs. So we hand-picked really small charities to work with. We started with Nepal Orphans Home, which Camille Trabiowski, who used to run my website, had volunteered at, and so he told me about Nepal Orphans Home. So we picked them. We picked a local group called the Watari organization in Vancouver that deals with homeless teens and transitioning them into housing and work and school. And we picked a couple of groups in Haiti that were doing really phenomenal work on the ground in Haiti. Haiti's a really hard country to work in because so much money went in, but the government sort of held it back and went, okay, well, we need to see what's going to work and what's not. So we picked organizations that had already existed, and then the need was so much greater. And then Jill and I traveled to Nepal and met with the NOH, obviously spent time with our kids, but met two other groups while we were there, Next Generation Nepal and Asha Nepal, and they deal with trafficked women and children. And once we met with them and got to know how their operations worked, we were like, this is a no-brainer. These guys are amazing. And the beauty of a country like Nepal is a lot of the small charities work together. So there were kids out of Asha Nepal whose mothers had been trafficked into sexual slavery in India and rescued. And these kids were now in a special home. And we hooked them up with the NOH kids, and so they ended up going to the same school as the orphanage, and they suddenly had 150 new brothers and sisters. So things like that are just, we did a little thing at NOH where we wanted to supply them with better nutrition, vitamins or whatever, And Michael Hess, who runs it, said, vitamins aren't going to work. We need better food. So we said, okay, great. What do you need? And he said, we need better quality rice, we need more fruit and vegetables, we need more meat. And so instead of getting meat once a month, the children were getting chicken twice a week. Nice. They were getting the best quality rice, and we doubled their fruit and vegetables. And that year, their pharmacy bill went down by 70% during flu season.
That's incredible.
And the kids were doing great in school, and the kids had so much more energy. 5 of our kids are going to college for the first time. Next Generation Nepal kids are going to college. So it's, yeah. And it all, and I'm going off a bit on the individual charities, but the impetus for it was my understanding of the sci-fi fan base. Incredibly socially connected, incredibly socially aware. Sci-fi fans talk on forums, they connect with each other from all corners of the earth, and if there's a cause, they will talk it up. And they have been so profoundly generous, and we thought, let's harness that power. And little did we know how formidable that power would be. But grassroots initiatives, like there's a run coming up at the end of the month, Sanctuary for Kids run, and it's around the world. And it's run 5K, raise money, and send it in. And so people around the world have taken up this mantle to do this 5K run in all different corners of the world. Tons of tiny fan initiatives that have just been amazing.
How can our listeners, if we want to support Sanctuary for Kids, what's it?
Go to sanctuaryforkids.org. We have a donation page. We have blogs. You can find out about the different charities. You can see about our trip to Nepal. And on that website will be all the different initiatives that people are doing. We build villages every Christmas. We do a virtual village that we help build, and fans donate to a Bricks and Blocks campaign, and we build little villages. And so it's amazing. It's my passion.
Excellent. What future projects can we look forward to seeing you in the future?
I think I directed an episode of Continuum, and that's coming. Yeah, it's an amazing show. So I did the second last episode of their second season. That aired in Canada just last weekend. It's airing on Syfy, I think, in 2 weeks. I think they're only a few weeks behind here in the States. Supernatural, I don't know if it's finished its run here in the States, but I did 7 episodes for them. And I'm directing a show called Arctic Air, which I did last year, so I'm doing a few more, and hopefully going back to Continuum when they get back.
You have another question?
Well, yes, a lot of them, because in the sci-fi world, and something that I've discovered as I've come out of the sci-fi closet and told people, yes, I'm a geek, I enjoy this.
Yeah.
I'm finding that even with the younger girls, they're just starting to find these powerful women who aren't overly cartooned out, that they're not,
They're not overly sexualized.
exactly,
Yeah.
just incredibly strong, intelligent women. And when I talk to these younger girls and to women at my own age and women who are just starting to come out of their own geek closet, every time it's Amanda tapping.
Wow.
Every time it's something about you. And I'm curious, like, how often do people actually come and talk to you and tell you? Because I'm sure
All the time.
I'm sure that there's got to
great.
be a story there. I know I have a little story about you, but I'm sure there's got to be something.
No,
that,
it's awesome. It's all the time I hear from young women, and especially what I love is families who come up and go, we watched Stargate together as a family, and that helped my daughter want to get into science, or my daughter believes now that she can, do math.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, all these sort of closeted boys subjects, girls are really now embracing. And now there's a whole new generation, because Stargate just apparently won't go off the air and reruns forever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole new generation of little kids coming up saying, I watch Stargate, I love Sam Carter, and I can't be more proud of that. It's amazing.
And you continue in these roles that are strong, intelligent, powerful, but not in a giant machoistic way.
Right.
Is it something you look for, or is it just something that you gravitate towards?
I think it's something I gravitate towards, and I think it's something that I've been very blessed to be cast in. Stargate was a huge revelation for me, but it was something I have never been able to play the sexy card. I've never felt that comfortable playing the coquettish bimbo sexy siren part. It's just
like
not
3
part of my
million geek
nature.
boys just cried right
Yeah,
now.
I know. But it's something that I feel very comfortable with, playing smart women with good values, and I guess I gravitate towards that.
And I'm sure but as on behalf of everyone who I left in DC, who's, oh my God, you're going to talk to me, we just want to thank you.
Thank you.
It's just deliciously satisfying to see that, and to see it continue on in other shows like Continuum, and it's wonderful. So just as a general blanket, thank you.
No, thank you. I feel very lucky. I think Sam Carter was, there's been a few really strong, great female characters in sci-fi,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's transcending into regular television into mainstream television, if you will, as well. That these female characters are getting stronger, and He's giving you cues.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
But I think that it's something that's changing. Television is changing. And I felt very fortunate that I was, lucky enough to ride that ride for as long as I have been.
Oh, I think you're going to keep riding it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.